The main problem is, for many people, if they don't see a disability, they think it's not there. For autism, it's a problem that you don't see it, and because of that, frequently person who would show respect to other kinds of disability don't show this relative to person affected with autism. And also, when autistic people are confronted with non-autistic people, they often try to mask their autism in order that other people do not realize their kind of autism too soon. But this is often exhausting. From that, you learn, okay, I'm different, but my feelings are not wrong. And this is something I got much better among other autistic persons than I was confronted with professionals.
Welcome to the Metautism podcast, where we're diving into the vibrant world of autism and championing inclusive education and employment. Join us as we explore innovative strategies, share inspiring stories, and analyze groundbreaking initiatives that celebrate differences and advocate for a future of equal opportunities. Let's get started. Hello. How are you? Welcome to another episode of Metautism podcast. I'm your host, Clara, and I'm really excited that we're having the second part of our conversation with Dr. Klaus Lüben. Just as a reminder, in case you missed the first part, he holds a PhD in natural sciences, more specifically in physics. He currently works as a software tester, but beyond that, he has various roles. More specifically, more importantly, he is an autism advocate as an autistic person himself, and he constantly works on improving understanding of autism, improving inclusion of autistic people. He serves on the board of Association Bewusst Autistisch, and he's also a voting member of the State Disability Council of Saxony-Anhalt, where he works to promote inclusion and improve support structures for autistic people. In this part of our conversation with Klaus, we'll focus more on policies in regards to invisible disabilities, in regards to autism, while in the first part we spoke more about his personal life and work, and truly he shared some wonderful insights and lessons on how to understand ourselves a bit better and how to be kinder to ourselves also. So Klaus, it's good to have you here and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Clara. I'm also very, very happy to talk with you tonight.
You are also a member of the State Disability Advisory Council of Saxony-Anhalt. So from your perspective, where does disability policy still fail the autistic adults the most?
Also, I can give you at least two main fields where I see problems. Also, the first main problem that we have in Saxony-Anhalt and also in other regions in Germany as well, but is that we have not many or much too less person who can diagnose autism. And people who are affected with autism in Saxony-Anhalt, they wait for years until they get an appointment at the doctor for the diagnosis. In many cases, we really suffer from that. This is one field. And one other field that we have is that in particular the people in Saxonia, the autistic people in Saxony-Anhalt have to fight a lot in order to get the help from the authorities, in particular if they want to get a level of 50 of severe disability. And we have a current survey that showed that the people in Saxony-Anhalt, that Saxony-Anhalt is the region in Germany where it's the hardest to get a level of disability above 50 as an autistic person in Germany. And this current survey proved somehow what the autistic persons here in Lower Saxony felt, because we had really sometimes situation where the authority really had the feeling they wanted to find reasons why they can use not to give us the rights that we need in order to get along.
You also emphasize the needs of people with invisible disabilities like autism, epilepsy, dyslexia, and so on. So why are invisible disabilities so difficult for systems to accommodate?
The main problem is, for many people, if they don't see a disability, they think it's not there. So if they see a person in a wheelchair, they often see, okay, there is a disability and this is a person who has a real problem. Or at least if they would see that this person has something which is eyes, that they say, okay, most probably it's blind, then they show respect. But for autism, it's a problem that you don't see it, and because of that, frequently person who would show respect to other kinds of disability don't show this relative to persons affected with autism. And in particular, it can be a problem if you meet person on the street in a spontaneous situation where it's difficult to explain them in a short amount of time what's with you. Also, I wanted to give you, relative to that point, one story of my life I would like to tell, because one thing I did some years in 2019, what I did is I made a petition at the Deutsche Bundestag, and I wanted to change a law relative to the income tax law in Germany, because I don't want to go into all the details, but what they had is that persons who had a disability who was related to the movement of the body, that they were allowed to get to certain kind of, well, in Germany, which say Pauschbetrag, also it's some kind of amount of money when you make your tax declaration. You can say, okay, I have needed this kind of amount of money as a special need because of my disability, and the people with movement problems were allowed to get this money. And we had the problem that person who had not related, who had disabilities where you had not problems with movement, were not allowed to get this money. And I had the feeling that there are kind of prejudices that people have, that normally you only see in the mind, which are somewhere hidden in the mind of the person, where they're really included on paper in a concrete law. And this is why I tried to say, okay, I have tried to change the law. And in the end, this petition, we had really success with it. And nowadays, everyone is allowed to have this right independently on what kind of disability you have.
That is amazing work. I believe every community would be happy to have you as an advocate. And for example, now as a board member of Bewusst Autistisch, you help organize self-help groups and leisure activities. So why are these everyday spaces so important for autistic well-being?
It's so important because among other autistic people, one feels somehow understood, and there are people who suffered the same situations or similar situations in life, and when you tell them towards other people, you often have to explain a lot until you get understood. With other autistic people, it's not like that. And also, when autistic people are confronted with non-autistic people, they often try to mask their autism in order that other people do not realize their kind of autism too soon. But this is often exhausting. And confronted with other autistic people, one very nice thing is that we can somehow lay down our mask and show us how we really are, without that other people look at us and say, okay, what is that for a strange person or so.
What role does a community play that professional support could never replace?
Well, the peer community, the main role that's important is this kind of feeling to get understood by the bottom of your heart. When you talk with experts, with give you professional support, in many cases it's about, okay, you have the feeling this is something he read about somewhere or he learned about somewhere, but he hadn't made this kind of experience from his own. But in the peer community, you have got the feeling, okay, there are persons who really understand what you feel and they feel the same like you. And you have the feeling also you are not alone with the way how you feel. And from that you learn, okay, I'm different, but my feelings are not wrong. And this is something I got much better among other autistic persons than I was confronted with professionals.
That's a great explanation. Lastly, I would like to ask you what actually motivates you to stay disengaged in policy structural change, even when things are moving slow, as we know, in governments and in policymakers, everything goes slow with them.
Well, that still I see when I stay engaged and I show effort that at the end it pays out and I can make some kind of progress with that. In particular, what also motivates me when I find persons who say, okay, we want to support you. Also, for instance, there is one, okay, the representative for the belongings of the of people with disabilities in Saxony-Anhalt was he was someone who strongly supported me when I tried to stand for the rights of autistic people within the State Disability Advisory Council of Saxony-Anhalt. And well, when I started to discuss with him about the needs of autistic people in Saxony-Anhalt, we made up the plan to there's a need to develop an autism strategy for Saxony-Anhalt. And at the moment, we are sitting together at an interdepartmental working group of ministry staff people from different ministries from the government of Saxony-Anhalt, together with researchers and representatives of autistic people and their relatives, and that we may able to set up this working group. We're talking about this. This is something we reach on by. This is something where I was able to make a contribution for it, that we reached this point, and I did this by a lot of hard work, and I did this step by step. And so, if I say what might motivate me, I would say, okay, I saw that in the past I was able already to do some impact. So I'm hopefully and motivated that I think that I will also make further impact when I keep my engagement. And in this manner, in this sense, I want to keep up my engagement at this field.
That's a great conclusion, and thank you for giving us the insight on what motivates you. I really wish all the best and many new opportunities and so much luck in achieving your goals, of course. Now we've come to the end of our episode. So Klaus, thank you so much for joining me and sharing not only your life experience, not only your professional and personal experiences, but also some insights in invisible disabilities, in advocacy, and so on.
Thank you very much, Clara.
And of course, thank you to the Erasmus Plus program of European Union for funding this project. All opinions are our own. Dear viewer or listener, thank you for tuning in, and feel free to follow on Spotify or subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss the upcoming episodes. And until the next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.